Hey, welcome back to Zombie Tactics. Today talking about the Patriot Nurse's Medical Prep 101 class, which I took a few weeks ago. Now, you may recall that a few weeks ago, directly before the time that I took that class, I did a video called Patriot Nurse Frequently Asked Questions, and that was actually a reflection of the fact that I had several questions about, what the heck is this class that you teach? And I knew that if those questions were in my head, they were in other people's heads as well, so I might as well get those out of the way. Now, based on the answers that I received in talking to the Patriot Nurse, I decided to go ahead and take the class, as did my middle daughter, and we went and took the class. And I wanted to tell you what it's a little bit like and what it's about. But before I do that, I kind of have to, by contrast, tell you what the class is not. The class is not the sort of typical trauma medicine or emergency care medicine class that you'll see many firearms companies teach. Now, those are great classes, and their focus is more or less on there's been a fight or a self-defense incident, or maybe even something like a range accident, and somebody's been stabbed or they've been shot, and you need to render immediate care to kind of pack them up and get them in good or stable enough condition that you can hand them off to the paramedics, or maybe even drive them into the emergency room yourself where they can get extended, much more professional care. That's not this class. In contrast, what this class is it's designed for the person who may find themselves in a position where they are the only person on the scene with any kind of medical knowledge whatsoever for an extended period of time. Now, that could be something like a natural disaster of the kinds that we've seen. It could be the ever-popular preppers, SHTF situation where there's a more or less a complete collapse of society and you don't have access to a doctor. Now, you might think that, okay, well, what are you saying? You're trying to turn people into a doctor? No, and in some cases, the point of it is that even if you had a doctor, they would have to alter their approach to healthcare to meet the demands of the situation. Now, what would that mean? By the way, I'm going to throw in a lot of pictures here because I don't think anybody wants to watch my ugly mug talk for the next few minutes about this, and it's better for you to get pictures of the class. What that means is that right now we live in a society where we are used to ready access to healthcare. So we let healthcare problems go. We don't particularly take care of ourselves. We live lifestyles where we go, and then one day we wake up and I'm sick, and what do? We go to the doctor, and that's almost like a last-ditch thing that we do. Part of what you learn in this class is the kinds of ways that those expectations are going to change based upon the experience that the Patriot Nurse has had operating in these kinds of situations, both here in the United States as well as abroad, in austere conditions where, quite frankly, in many cases, she was the closest thing to a doctor that anybody would find. And you may find yourself in a similar situation. So what kind of skills do you have to have mentally more than anything else? And what can you bring to the table to keep everybody's health up to snuff under these difficult kinds of situations? Well, one of the things that you'll learn is the kinds of diseases and health conditions that are likely to crop up in these kinds of austere, natural disaster, SHTF type situations that are different than what we encounter in ordinary day-to-day life, and how you must take a much more proactive approach to fixing those problems because you don't have a last-ditch emergency room that you can go to. You can't just call a doctor and see him in the next 3 days. So lots of information about managing health in general, about how to make sure that you don't get those tiny problems that turn into big problems. Instead of, getting the cut and waiting for it to get infected and then go to the doctor and get the tetanus shot and this, that, and the other thing, let's make sure that we take care of that cut, for instance, right away, exactly the right way, according to what the circumstances demand. Now, in addition to that, we did a number of blocks that had to do with specific situations she's had, managing different kinds of emergency health situations or health situations where just our standard approach to healthcare isn't going to do it, including a couple of stories that she's had in her experience where someone's life was directly saved, either through her efforts or the efforts of someone who has taken this class. So we'll learn about things like the most common kinds of diseases that you'll experience, how to see them early so that you can manage that problem early so that it doesn't become life-threatening in the first place, which is a much better way to manage it when you don't have a doctor around, you don't have ready access to all the kinds of tools of the trade that our medical profession ordinarily has. We went through several blocks of instructions having to do with what I would call primitive diagnostics, using everything from stethoscopes and blood pressure cuffs that are, kind of primitive technology if you think about it, and something you can buy for a few dollars. And just things like manual manipulation, using your hands and tapping and smelling and using your eyes and using your full range of senses to determine what's going on with somebody and what their health problem might be. We then broke into individual groups, or I should say everybody did, but I did. I kind of floated around and watched what everybody else was doing because I was taking pictures. But what these individual groups were they were sort of like the equivalent of what you would form in a small community as kind of like your healthcare group for managing problems, and it's kind of like the equivalent of what a doctor's panel would be at a hospital, where you're talking about a patient and their care, and everybody kind of puts together their heads, and we were given theoretical sets of symptoms that someone was experiencing and what we had on hand in the way of drugs or equipment or other capabilities, and what we didn't have on hand in the way of drugs or equipment of other capabilities. And then we had to come together and decide what was the best plan of care for that person to get them back up and running and healthy, given the situation that we were under in that scenario. Really good stuff. I can't say enough about this class in changing my mindset, just as kind of somebody with a prepper kind of mentality, changing my mindset for what I'm likely to encounter in one of these kind of natural disaster kind of situations, and how I'm going to have to react to it as maybe one of only a few people on the scene that has any idea what they're doing. Tremendous eye-opener. A great class. I think it's well worth your money. Something that you can take some skills away from it that you can use not only for those kinds of disaster situations, but also in your day-to-day life. It can probably help you manage your own health care and that of your family and friends a lot better. And for that reason alone, it's definitely worth the price of admission. I'm going to stop talking here, and I'm going to let other students in the class, some of whom are health professionals themselves, talk about what value they got out of this class, and then we're out of here. That's Zombie Tactics for today, and as always, keep your powder dry and aim for the head. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. So Stephanie, Medical Prep 101 with the Patriot Nurse. What do you think?
I think it was amazing. It really taught me to stay calm in different circumstances, and no matter how much training you have, it fits everybody, no matter how much knowledge you have.
Did you come here expecting something and that's what you got, or did you get something completely different, or what?
I think I was expecting a little bit more, I thought I was going to do surgery when I left here, but it was so much more than I expected it would be, and it was amazing because I was able to get a wealth of knowledge, but also learn how to be the one to stay calm.
What's your favorite part of the class?
My favorite part was actually learning about different oils, and I love that we got up a lot and practiced on each other, different techniques, so I feel pretty confident leaving.
Okay, honesty time. What didn't you like so much?
I didn't like all the gory wounds.
So the gory wound slideshow was not your favorite?
Yeah, I left for that part.
But overall, what would you say? Would you recommend this class to people, or tell them to stay away because of the gory wounds?
No, I definitely go. You need to see the gory wounds so that you won't throw up when you actually see it when the time comes. But really, it's for everyone. Whether you have your degree, your medical degree, or you don't, it fits everyone. So I definitely recommend it.
All right, thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Okay, so Judy, we were just talking. You're fairly local. You're not one of the people that drove a million miles to get here.
Hour and 45 minutes.
But you seem to really take a lot from this class. What do you got to say about it?
What I took away from this class is if you're looking for field surgery or IVs or sutures or basic first aid, don't even bother, because that's not going to do us any good when things go down. What is going to be the most important thing that I learned, and I kind of knew it before, was prevention. But in this class, I learned how to prevent and how to treat early and how to treat with a lot of different modalities, and to take care of the respiratory and the digestive and the wounds, most of all. Take care of the infection and prevent it, and you'll be miles ahead of anybody else.
Okay, so we talked about if things go down, if situations get hard. What if they don't? Did you just waste your money in this class? Are you coming away with something you can use anyway?
Oh, absolutely no waste of money whatsoever, because this is something that anybody can use in any situation, whether it's for your family, your children, extended family, if you've got older people, younger people, if you're out in public in a situation. No, absolutely worth every penny and every minute.
What did you like most about the class? What was your favorite part?
The Patriot nurse and the fact that she interacted with absolutely everybody there, and she made it real and she made it fun, and the time just sped by. I felt like I could have stayed another 6 hours.
Okay, let's keep it real now. What would you have changed, or what didn't you like as much?
That it wasn't long enough.
Oh, come on now, come on now.
What didn't I like? Absolutely can't think of anything at all. That was it. Maybe some of the inner talking that was going on with people, you know, that you couldn't concentrate on her. But other than that, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't change a thing. I can't wait to take the next one.
So this was class 101. Sounds like you're chomping at the bit to take 201.
Oh, definitely.
All right,
Most
thanks.
Definitely.
Thanks, Judy.
Thank you.
Okay, so Jennifer, you've been watching me interview other folks about the class. Everybody seems to love it so far. I bet you're the one that's going to give me the real scoop about how this was a waste of time and you shouldn't have even come. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's wrong.
It's wrong.
That's wrong.
You're ruining my whole investigative journalism
I'm
trip.
sorry, you're going to have to look elsewhere for that, because I really enjoyed it and I learned so much. And I never thought I would learn so much in one day, because there's so much information. I'm just bubbling over. I can't wait to share with other people.
So was this class what you expected or not what you expected?
It's what I expected, but it is so much more than what I expected, because I never thought about essential oils and honey and how to use things that are available to us but not normally considered medical, and how they can be used to help in medical situations whenever there's no medical supplies otherwise available.
Okay, so you mentioned things like essential oils and honey, and all of a sudden I can hear everybody thinking, oh yeah, these people from California, they're all burning incense and chanting.
Oh.
Is that the kind of stuff we're talking about in this class? Or?
I'm the farthest person from that you will ever find, and but I do look for anything that is a way to be healthy, and if it works, it works, whether it's some essential oil or a natural thing like honey. If it works, I'm not going to discount it. And if a lot of the medications that are available are derived from natural things, but they're just named differently. So some of these things are what you get from a pharmacy, but in their natural form. So I prefer the natural.
So it probably meant a lot to you that we were doing things like referring to standard medical references and stuff like that, and not just some weird book that some weird guy wrote or something.
Some guru?
Yes, some guru someplace. I imagine that was important to you.
No, I do like having books. I'm a bookaholic. I love books, and it's nice to have books that back things up and references to go to, so that we can find what we need and find which oil to use and find symptoms and what they lead to and how to treat them. And
So you ruined my whole thing. I thought I was going to get at least one person to say something really terrible about this class. You sure there isn't one little thing you didn't like? Or
not that I can think of. I really, really enjoyed it, and I would recommend it to anybody, especially if you have kids and you got to look out for their safety, and this is a shaky world, and we don't know what's coming down the pike, and anything that you can add to your arsenal of knowledge is priceless, and it can mean life or death, or so much. You just can't have too much knowledge, so I highly recommend it.
Well, listen, you didn't give me any of my hard-hitting undercover stuff that I wanted, but I thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.